She gave everything, her love, her dreams, her heart. But when betrayal struck and the man she trusted chose another, Rose had a choice: stay broken, or rise and claim her worth. What she did next changed her life forever. What would you do if the person you trusted most betrayed you? Would you stay or rise and claim your worth? And also don't forget to like and subscribe, and comment where you are watching from. We would really like to know.
Rose and Philip were a young Nigerian couple who dreamed of a life full of hope and opportunity. Life in Nigeria had been hard. Philip worked odd jobs, sometimes going days without steady pay. Rose had always wanted to help people. She wanted to be a nurse, to care for the sick and make a real difference. When Philip finally secured a work visa to Canada, they left everything behind. They arrived in a country blanketed with snow, the cold biting at their skin. The streets were unfamiliar, the air sharp and unforgiving. But their hearts were full of hope. Canada promised new beginnings, and they clung to that promise like a lifeline. Rose immediately enrolled in a nursing program. The journey was far from easy. Tuition fees were high, and living costs were higher. Philip worked long hours at a warehouse to pay the bills. Rose balanced school, part-time jobs, and endless night shifts. Some nights, she returned home so exhausted she could barely keep her eyes open, yet she never let Philip see her despair. At times, loneliness crept into her life. She missed the warmth of her family, the laughter of her childhood friends, the familiar smells of home-cooked meals. But she refused to give up. She reminded herself every day why she was there: her dream, her purpose. She wanted to save lives and build a future with Philip, the man she loved. 5 long years came by so fast. During this time, Rose studied tirelessly, often sacrificing sleep and comfort. Exams, clinical rotations, and night shifts blurred together. Yet, through it all, she excelled. Finally, the day came when she graduated with honors. Standing in her cap and gown, tears ran down her cheeks. Philip hugged her tightly, pride shining in his eyes. This was the moment they had waited for, the proof that their sacrifices had been worth it. But even as the celebration lights glimmered, a shadow lingered. Rose dreamed of bringing her mother to Canada, to share her success and the life she had built. Philip, however, was against it. "My mother comes first," he insisted. "We can't bring anyone else here, until my mom comes." Rose's heart sank. She loved Philip, but her mother had been her pillar of strength all her life. She wanted her close, especially now. She swallowed the disappointment, not wanting to start a fight. "I understand, let your mom come." "I will gladly welcome her," she said softly, though a storm brewed inside her. Little did Rose know, the real challenges were only beginning. The cold outside was nothing compared to the chill she would feel in her own home. Philip's mother arrived months later. At first, she smiled politely, making Rose feel welcome. But smiles can hide sharp teeth. Within weeks, tension grew. Philip's mother began criticizing Rose's dedication to her job. "You work too much," she whispered to Philip. "No woman can love her family if she loves work more than her home and her womb. If she doesn't change, we will find another wife for you. I need grandchildren." Rose felt her chest tighten. Tears threatened to fall, but she held them back. "I have responsibilities," she said firmly. "I care for patients, and this is my dream. I cannot abandon it. I am not the one that gives children. Children are gifts from God. In God's time, our children will come. Staying back at home without working will not bring children." Philip stayed silent. His eyes flickered with something she couldn't read. Anger, confusion, or fear of upsetting his mother. Rose didn't know. She only knew her purpose was being questioned, and the home she had worked so hard to build was crumbling. The first chapter of her Canadian dream ended in uncertainty. Rose realized that following her heart would demand sacrifices far beyond what she had imagined. She knew one thing clearly: she could not allow fear or tradition to dictate her worth. The days turned into months, and life at home became heavier for Rose. Philip's mother seemed to delight in undermining her at every turn. She criticized Rose's cooking, mocked her dedication to work, and constantly reminded Philip that Rose's career left no time for children. Your mates have 4 or 5 children, all you know is work, work, work. Who works like that? If you do not consider slowing down with this your work, I will get my son a good woman to bear children for him. Stanley's mom said one day. Rose tried to ignore it. She focused on her patients, on the hospital, and on the feeling of fulfillment that nursing brought her. At work, she was unstoppable. She stayed late, learned new procedures, and comforted patients who had nobody else. Her colleagues admired her resilience, her kindness, and her unwavering commitment. But at home, tension simmered. Philip began avoiding her eyes. Conversations that once flowed easily were now clipped and cold. Rose noticed the change but hoped it was temporary. She reminded herself that love sometimes requires patience. One evening, Rose returned from a double shift. Snow had begun to fall softly outside, covering the city in a quiet white blanket. She hoped the peace outside would calm the storm inside her heart. But instead, she discovered betrayal. Philip had been hiding a secret. Another woman was pregnant. Rose's world shattered in an instant. The man she loved, the one she had sacrificed everything for, had chosen to betray her trust. Rage, sadness, and disbelief collided inside her. "Why?" she whispered, her voice trembling. "After everything, why?" Philip avoided her gaze. It just happened," he stammered. "I didn't mean. My mom and I told you to slow down, so we could start making babies, but you refused. I need a child, Rose." Rose shook her head, her tears freezing on her cheeks in the cold winter air. "I cannot stay here," she said. She packed her bags silently. Each fold of clothing was heavier than the last, each step away from the apartment an ache in her chest. While packing her things, she heard her mother-in-law laughing and mocking her. Mother-in-law was telling her sister-in-law over the phone that the coast was cleared. They started jubilating that they have finally sent away the barren woman who could not have children. When she opened the door to step into the snow, flakes kissed her face. She felt numb, broken, tears running down her cheek, yet strangely alive. This was the moment of choice. She could let betrayal define her, or she could rise above it. With a deep breath, she walked into the night, leaving Philip and his mother behind. Snow crunched beneath her feet as she carried herself forward, one step at a time, refusing to let pain stop her. She moved in with her friend, who is also a colleague. She gave her a warm room in her apartment. Rose thanked her for her kindness. Days passed, and Rose focused on healing, not only others but also herself. She returned to work with renewed determination. Her patients noticed a quiet strength in her presence, a calm confidence that inspired hope. One day, news arrived that changed everything. A patient she had cared for, a wealthy billionaire battling a prolonged illness, had passed away. In his final will, he left half of his fortune to Rose, as gratitude for her compassion, dedication, and care. The other half went to charity. Rose could hardly believe it. The money was enough to live comfortably, to help others, and to support her mother. Yet, more than wealth, it symbolized recognition for her worth, her sacrifices, and her unwavering dedication to her calling. Philip and his mother heard of Rose's fortune. Panic and greed replaced their earlier confidence. They came running, hoping to mend fences and regain access to what they had lost. Rose greeted them with calm dignity. "I forgive you," she said softly, her eyes steady. "But I do not share my table with traitors." Philip's mother gasped. Philip's face fell. Rose's heart, though scarred, was free from bitterness. She had chosen her path, her dream, and her purpose over betrayal and fear. With her new fortune, Rose built a life that mirrored her values. She created scholarship for people who had passion for nursing, but could not afford the tuition. She paid nurses to care for elderly people who could not pay for healthcare and did not qualify for the free healthcare in Canada. She inspired young women who are abused or taken advantage of to know where and when to get help. Her mother joined her, bringing warmth and love into her home once more. Rose never forgot the lessons of hardship. She shared her wealth not with those who had betrayed her but with the people who needed it most. She paid for children's education, helped struggling families, and donated to hospitals in Nigeria and other African countries who needed help. Through her work, she met people whose lives were changed by her care. Stories of recovery, hope, and resilience surrounded her. She realized that true wealth was not money, it was the ability to touch lives, to heal, and to inspire. Though she sometimes thought of Philip, she felt no longing for the past. She had chosen her worth, and that choice had shaped her destiny. One evening, Rose stood in her clinic, watching snowflakes drift outside the window. She thought of the long journey that had brought her here, the nights of exhaustion, the sacrifices, the betrayals. And she smiled. Her dream had survived, stronger than ever. And in surviving, she had taught everyone around her a lesson far greater than any money or gift could offer. A woman's purpose should never be sacrificed to please fear, tradition, or the expectations of others. And so, Rose continued to heal lives, one patient at a time, a quiet hero in a world that often forgot the value of courage, love, and unwavering dedication. Thank you for staying with us to the end. Please, like, subscribe and share your thoughts. It means a lot to us. See you next time.